My name is Paula Almiron. I'm the Partnership and Funding Manager at EIT Food Northwest. That's Iceland, Ireland, and the UK. Today we have Aimee Fee. She's our Nutrition and Partnership intern, and she will moderate the session. And we are also very pleased to have our COO, Richard Salzman. We are moving to a new partnership model, and we have found 5 drivers for change. The first one is that the food system challenges required a systemic approach, and that we found that the network effects that the community that we have at EIT Food has an amazing and very important value for partners. Horizon Europe as a new framework is requiring that we become an open organization and that we become more transparent. And also we are required by EIT to be financially sustainable, to be independent, and to diversify our sources of funding, broadening our funding scope. The effects of the transition are the following. We were focused in the past on the EIT grant, and now we are concentrated on the impact that our actions and activities are going to have. In the past, the value that our community had for our partners was on the grant. But now we are moving to a model where we are going to have multiple funders. We were concentrated on point solutions, on delivering point solutions, and now we are working on systemic solutions that approach problems in the long term rather than in the short term. I'm going to admit some other people. Okay. So the design principles that we are using are the following. We are incorporating the network effects. We are understanding that our partners have different interests, and we are transcending EIT. So the network value, we have created at the moment the strongest food innovation network in Europe, one which offers partners a mix of pan-European and local presence with broad food system innovation opportunities and focus on technical innovation. We provide a high level of local and global opportunities. If we focus on the strategic engagement, we are working with our strategic partners, with our prospective strategic partners, to be actively engaged in setting a strategic direction and benefit from the opportunity to advocate for innovation through the channels that the KIC creates and manages with stakeholders in the sector. We're also bringing expertise and insight into the partnership, translating future EU regulation into action plans for effective innovation, acting as a bridge between the Commission and the food system. If we think about the project and funding opportunities, even though EIT, the European Institute of Technology and Innovation, will continue to be a significant source of funding for our partnership, we are investing in developing additional funding sources to support partners and projects. So the new the new partnership category incorporates 3 partner categories. We would say 2 partner categories plus 1 membership type, aligned to the services we will deliver. We have 3 structural components: the partner categories plus the membership type, the services, and the partner size. The 3 categories of membership are strategic partners, delivery partners, community members. So just to clarify, just to clarify, community members are not partners. We are going to see all of these three categories in detail in a moment. So just to briefly introduce the three categories, strategic partners develop this strategy, delivery partners inform that strategy in actions, and the community members address that strategy by cross-posting our content, by participating in some networking event, especially those that are online. And of course, the community members are open for opportunities, but that's not the main focus that they have in our community. Delivery partners are active in the network, and they are delivery focused. This means that they provide, they execute the activities that are part of our calls. They execute our programs. They also are involved in bids and consortia. And finally, the strategic partners are the ones that develop the strategy with our EIT food community, with EIT. We do this conjointly. They promote our strategy through key platforms, and they curate our network. We also have an active role in their organizations, and we help them to deliver and design their strategy, their own strategy, in the spaces that are in the intersection with our missions. The strategic partners build the funding pipeline, and they also create opportunities for new funding. This is also something that also the delivery partners can do. One of the key components of this new membership structure or new partnership model is that we are assessing our partners' size. And we are incorporating four categories: large, mid-cap, medium, and SME. And we consider 2 or 3 variables to define which is the size of this organization. And this is the turnover, the employees, and the number of branches and the countries where these branches are based. In previous webinars, we have received some questions regarding universities, if they are going to be assessed by the department that has a higher engagement with EIT Food. We assess organizations as a whole. We don't assess organizations by departments. Let's move on.
Paula, there's a question from Filippo. Just wanted to.
Okay, Aimee, could you? Yep, Aimee, could you please let me know which is the question?
Yeah, he's just got his hand up, so if you just want to ask away.
Very good, thank you. Indeed, if in the previous slide, 1 minus here, and it's the reason why I joined this clinic. Anyway, it's Filippo here from McAfee Sustainability in Action. We are one of the only 2 partners of EIT Food in Malta. By the way, next time you're in Malta, please let us know so that we can meet. We specialize in helping startups in food tech and biotech. The reason why I joined today is to understand the difference between position 3B and 2B and 3B, which is involved in bid and consortium and open to opportunities. It's either now the case for me to ask these questions, or I can wait for the end of the presentation if you are sure that there will be time. So just let me know if I should ask now or later about that.
Okay, could you repeat your question? So you're talking about positions 3B and 2B? Yeah.
So delivery, fundraising, and community fundraising. It's for us
sure
clear. We have received a lot of information material. We appreciate that effort, but really to understand in practice the difference on that column would be my question.
Okay.
In particular with regards to initiating submitting bids and participating into projects. We are presently in two good EIT food project, one of which is the Proceed project. And for us, it's very important to be able to join, because our partners tend then to want to work with us even after. Which is something we didn't find in Horizon, that people would engage with us even after the project is over commercially. So for us, it's very important to be able to keep starting and joining actual impact specific projects, not the bigger program, because we're too small for the bigger things.
Shall I take this, Paula? Okay. So just for absolute clarity, for EIT funded innovation projects, organizations do not need to be a partner. We've now got an open process, so you can apply for through an open call as a participant, and you don't have to join the partnership. That's no longer a prerequisite.
And even as coordinator and to submit the proposal on the portal, we don't need.
You do not need to be a partner to submit a proposal. You do not need to be a partner to be awarded a proposal. Now, what we're saying for our partners, there's a value in being a partner. So the value when it comes to fundraising, this is really working at bringing into our overall portfolio additional sources of funding above and beyond EIT. When it comes to the three categories of partnership, with strategic and delivery partners, we do a deep planning process. It's very, very comprehensive for our strategic partners. It's a full day workshop. With our delivery partners, it's going to be shorter, more like an online workshop. With both of those categories of partner, we will work with you to identify where are the sources of funding that are complementary between what we do as a KIC and what you're looking for as an organization. And then we can work with you and other organizations to put consortia together to bid for that funding. That might be open European funding, it might be philanthropic funding, or it might be building proposals together for other sources. So for example, right now we're working on a regenerative agriculture impact portfolio through a consortium. We're hoping to raise several million through that approach, and working with certain organizations, we will bid for that funding. With community members, we're not actively engaging with community members to say, who do you want to go fundraising with? But when the opportunity arises and there are community members that could positively contribute to that, by understanding that community, we can bring them into those consortia to strengthen the consortia, but the consortia are really built around the requirements and the expectations of the strategic and delivery partners.
Thank you very much. The answer is clear. It's also very interesting, by the way, what you're proposing for added value on strategic and delivery. From our side, it was just very important to understand the baselines of the options, given our small size, and it's quite a big difference between different fees. And we also welcome a lot the fact that you finally changed the fees depending on the size of the organization, because that's a game changer. It's much better that end. Thank you for that.
And I saw a question in the chat on that, and we'll come back to that when we get to the fee structure. So just hold that one about universities. Thanks, Paula. Back to you.
Perfect. Can you see my slides now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so we are moving on. So we have these four sizes that we have mentioned, and these four sizes are subject to some variables like the turnover, the number of employees, the number of branches, and also where these branches are located. So let's look at the partnership fees. So depending on the partnership category and also on the size of the organization, you're going to have different fees. These fees are paid annually. Strategic partners have, let's say, a moral engagement for 3 years, but the fees are going to be paid annually. Let me explain this a little bit more. As we're going to have a stronger engagement with strategic partners, and they are going to help us design our strategy, we need them to commit for 3 years. If in those 3 years the partner would like to leave the organization, there's no problem on that, but we think that we need to ask for that engagement, and that the partner has to have the intention of being for 3 years with our community. fund administration fees may be applied to funding sources, and some EIT projects will have an administration fee. This is something that, Richard, we have many questions regarding this point. I'm sure that our partners today will also ask similar questions. Let's go to the next one. So if we focus now on
sorry, yeah. There are a few questions on fees. Should I just take those now?
Okay, perfect.
In the chat, yeah. So first of all, from Julie, well, both from Julianne. Thanks, Julianne. As universities or charities, will there be a different category, and how much is the admin fee? So regarding universities or NGOs or other charities, we don't have a different set of fees for universities or charities. For universities, however, the employment is just the professional services staff, so just the administrative staff. That excludes academic teaching staff. So when we look at a university today, the majority of the staff are probably employed in a teaching role, either postgraduate teaching or full academic posts. You do not need to include those in your employee numbers. So when you look at the sizing structure, Paula, if you just go back one more slide, back to the size structure. The two categories are the number of employees or turnover, whichever is the greater. Most universities are probably going to fall into that medium category with regard to turnover, and the employees is down to how many employees within your university you would count as professional services staff on your payroll. So that when we looked at it, most universities are going to fall into medium. Some of the very large ones will fall into mid cap on that basis. So rather than have a separate fee structure for universities, we're focused on employees, and most charities tend to have a fairly small employee base as well. In terms of the admin fees, we've just had that approved actually at the management board. You will be getting an email very, very shortly as all partners. I'm just trying to get those comms out this week. The admin fees are related to it's effectively a platform service fee, given the complexity of information that we have to provide to EIT. It's funder specific, and it applies at a partner level, not the coordinator level. So for each partner who's taking part in EIT funded activity, up to 5 projects will be €3,000 per year for the platform access and support. And if you've got more than 5 projects, it will be €5,000 per year. But we will publish this memo along with the fee structure. It's just being signed off by our supervisory board, having been approved by our management board.
So will it be expected to be paid with the membership fee, or what will this be paid out across when the funding comes in, or how is that going to be invoiced?
We'll invoice you when we contract for your projects at the start of the year. And we're not going to do, if you add more projects in the middle of the year, we're not going to mess about and add to the fee. We've decided if you start the year with less than 5 projects, once we get the project commitment process going, which is underway right now, let me just wind back. So process wise, on Friday last week, we got confirmation from EIT that our business plan is now in the final stage and the provisional grant award, which is great. So we're now moving to the next stage, which is migrating the projects that are rolling forward into the books for next year and setting up the new projects. We couldn't really do that until we had confirmation from EIT as to what the provisional number would be. So that's happening right now. And you'll get a mail, or your activity leads will get mails on a request just to migrate some of the data of your carvers over. We're aiming to contract. We'll have a contract window at the end of January and a contract window at the end of March. So if your data is all ready and you're good to go, we'll contract with you at the end of January, otherwise at the end of March. And when we complete that contracting process, we'll invoice for the administrative fee. The partnership fee is invoiced separately because that applies to organisations whether or not they're taking part in EIT activity.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Just one additional question regarding the fees. So some partners have asked, well, it's quite similar to the question that Julianne asked, but just to clarify this point. So if a partner, for example, we have a delivery partner, do they have to pay additional fees for the administrative, do they have to pay the administrative fees, or
Yeah.
is that all? Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah,
So yeah,
the
it's not
administrative
only,
fees apply effectively when you are a participant in this case, the EIT grant. There are other awards that won't have an administrative fee because the admin's a lot less costly and difficult. So what we try to do is completely separate anything to do with EIT or any other funder from the being a partner. So when you look at the new partnership contract and you look at our new statutes and bylaws, we've completely disentangled being a partner of EIT Food from activity on the EIT grant award, because that the whole value proposition that Paula you're about to talk to is not based on just receiving EIT grant. It's based on a whole range of other services. We have to face the fact that the EIT grant is incredibly administratively complicated, and as a kick we have to have quite a lot of resources to support that administration, and we have to have a pretty good platform to manage that administration. Other funders are going to have much less complicated administration, and hopefully access to that money would not require a fee. But right now, with the way we're trying to set up for EIT and the changes in the cost base, the platform for EIT is complex and costly, and we need to charge a fee for that.
okay, thank you, Richard. Do we have more questions in the chat, Aimee?
No.
No?
that's
Okay,
it.
let's move on. Okay, good. So let's look at the different partnership categories that we have mentioned before. We're going to start with strategic partners. So a strategic partnership is for organizations that want to play an active role in EIT Food. They would like to shape the cake strategy, and they also would like to have a higher engagement with EIT Food. So we are going to provide them an extra service, helping them to develop their own strategy in the fields that are in the intersection with EIT Food. Our EIT, sorry, just 1 second. So they are going to work with our strategic direction, and they are going to have a platform at the EU level. So their voice is not only going to be heard at EIT Food, but also in other spaces of key discussion. They are also going to have, or they are likely to have, a leadership role in our flagship programs. And they are also going to be closely engaged with fundraising. As we will see in the next slide, the strategic partners will have account managers that will deliver a multi-annual plan. Let's look at this in detail. So they will have a key account manager, and this key account manager will deliver a multi-annual plan that will design how they will be engaged with EIT Food, and also how they can deliver their own strategic objectives. They will receive consortium connections, understanding which are the challenges and opportunities that they would like to tackle in that multi-annual plan. They will participate in several platforms as advisory councils, think tanks, and of course the partner assembly, and well, as a governance board that we have at EIT Food. And they will have access to some key events as the COP Pavilion. If we have to think about the strategic partner as a little bit more, so they will have, as we mentioned, a strategic plan that is going to be multi-annual, and they are also going to have a multi-layer interaction with EIT Food. With multi-layer interaction, we mean that it's going to be more profound rather than with the master contact. Let's move to the next slide. So if we have to see this in a 3-year plan, so every year at the end of the year, we are going to have a strategic workshop to develop the next year strategy, and we can see this in more detail later on. Let's go to delivery partners. So the delivery partner category is for organizations whose main focus is to work on projects and programs, and they are aligned with our strategy. They inform the strategy with their actions. They can also participate in bids and also promote or foster fundraising, but their focus is on at the activity level, is more at the task. If we have to compare the strategic partners and the delivery partners, strategic partners are more at the leadership level, and delivery partners are more at a task management level. So we actively engage with our delivery partners through the year. They are also going to have an account manager, and the plan that they are going to receive is going to be a year plan. Of course, they are going to participate in our networks, both online and face-to-face, and they are, of course, open to opportunities. So let's go to community. Sorry, just this one. So if we go to the delivery partners, we have 3 different points that we can discuss about. So one is engagement, platforms, and governance. They are going to have a vote at the partner assembly, but it's going to be just 1 vote if we compare it with the strategic partnership. The engagement is going to be lower if we compare it with the strategic partners, but they are also going to have access to consortium connections, and this is something that will be the result of the conversations that they have with their account manager, trying to understand the challenges and opportunities that that partner wants to address in that year. So those connections are going to be there. They will also engage, of course, in mission programs. That's how our organization is set now, and they will have support in the dissemination of their programs and contents that are related to our work, and they will access to some national and regional events. However, they will not be at key events, or that's not the main objective. So if they would like to be at events like COP27 or other events of the same level, that's not exactly the type of membership that they should choose. If we go to community members, they are not partners, and these are organizations that are like-minded to us, that have the same missions, the same objectives, and they would like to access to the network. They would like to be part of our community, but they are not mainly interested in delivering activities or participating in the strategy of EIT Food, shaping the strategy, or they don't want to have that type of involvement. So this membership is mainly digital. They will have access to our networking events, but the face-to-face events are going to be much more limited. Okay. So, for example, they can use some of our platforms like Food Hive. They will have access to some events and to the EIT Food website. They will also have the possibility of having their brand with our brand together at our website, but they will not have any governance role. Let's go back to a previous slide, just 1 second. So at this point, I would like to just stress that when you decide to become a strategic partner, the engagement is that you will have to have with our organization is going to be much more profound. And this means that it's not only that the fee is going to be higher, but also the time that you will have to deposit in our organization or to invest in our organization is going to be higher. So it's not only about having an economic engagement that is more significant, but to have a person or a team that could help you to have that engagement with EIT Food. And we will provide the same to you with your key account manager. So these are more or less the key points that we would like to discuss, but let's try to have a common discussion now. Aimee, do we have questions?
Yeah, Lucas has asked, could you please enumerate the slides next time? The value of the strategic partnership slide is hard to grasp. What do you understand interaction in more complex bids?
Okay, would you like to take this one, Richard?
Yeah, sure. So the process of being a strategic partner starts with a rich strategic planning workshop. So we've done the first few of these, Lucas, where we sit down with an organization and understand what are you trying to achieve strategically, and how can we as EIT support you with that agenda. Some of that may be about raising money or engaging with finance opportunities, and those could be quite complicated bid processes, whether that's working into raising a fund like we're doing on regenerative agriculture, putting in a Green Deal bid, etc. So with our strategic partners, we develop that plan for how we can engage both with our existing portfolio, with EIT funding, but also with other funding opportunities, and work towards those. With delivery partners, that's a little bit lighter, and community members, we don't engage in that process directly. We don't do the planning process.
So just if I understand this right, so for example, let's say we would like to go for a bid within the pillar 6 of the EU program or EU ERC, and then you would gather all consortium partners.
So we would help.
You would do the peer reviewing. How far does the work EIT Food is doing, right? Because as far as I'm understanding it, we're basically paying more, and we have to have somehow the funding pipeline. So I'm really confused by the contribution of the key account manager and EIT Food in general, like what you're providing as a service, right?
Yeah, so the key account manager is a dedicated role for strategic partners. They will have about 10 partners, and their core job will be ensuring that we are supporting those partners to achieve their strategic objectives. So it's about understanding that you as a partner, what you are trying to achieve when it comes to your strategy, and how we as a KIC can support you to do that. So for example, we've finished the account planning process with PepsiCo, and that was not about how do we optimize the EIT grant. It was about how do we support PepsiCo to achieve their PEP Plus sustainability objectives, in particular where they align to the work that we're doing around our 3 missions. But we started from their stated strategic objectives as PEP Plus, and then PepsiCo's a key account manager will then work with them through the year to build on that plan, which may involve funding, it may involve working on EIT projects, it may involve completely different tasks. We haven't completed that detailed planning process yet, but it all depends on you as a partner's requirements. Go on.
Yeah, so will this be transparent to other strategic partners, what the organization's key focus is at the moment? Or how do you intend to do it from a governance level to handle this?
Yeah, so obviously we can't diverge enormously, and it's within the parameters of our 3 missions. So if you're an organization and you're very much focused on net zero food supply chains, for example, that's fantastic. That aligns to our mission. If you're also working on flavorings, then we're unlikely to be working with you just on the flavoring side of things, but we'll be working with you closely on the net zero food supply chain side of things. So there's that alignment to the core purpose and on value of the KIC, which is principally to deliver on our strategic objectives through our missions. But within that, we very much work to ensure that our strategic partners are finding value for their strategies, not just delivering against the KIC or EIT's objectives. There are some areas where we bring partners together, in particular think tanks, advisory councils, etc. That's where the strategic partners will share their objectives and will build that alignment. And also in consortia for either delivery work or for bid work. So that's where we bring the partners together. We won't actively share each partner's objectives as part of that process, but when we're forming a consortia, we should know when we've completed the planning process and through the understanding we have of the partnership, who are the organizations that might work well in this consortia. And in all honesty, right now, one of our biggest gaps in consortia is integration of commercial partners, organizations who can commercialize and take forward the activity that comes from that project. That's a big gap for us at the moment. And we're seeing especially academic organizations struggling to find complementary companies that can then take the output of a project and really commercialize it. And when it comes to EIT funding, that's vital. It's absolutely critical. Otherwise, we will face extremely poor set of circumstances with EIT. So one of our key focus with our strategic partners is to ensure that when we bring them into consortia, along with delivery partners and other organizations, that we're building that commercialization capability from the outset in the projects. So it's that sort of thing that we will be doing with our strategic partners in that planning process, is identifying, is that a gap or is it not a gap? And if it is a gap, starting to build that network with those partners to ensure that they can put in effective bids.
Just one last
Thank
comment.
you, Richard.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Lucas, do you have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, just to be, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit picky here. I don't want to take too much time, but to understand what you do and won't provide as a service is quite crucial for me. And maybe just a list or a slide could help us.
We have a service definition that will be, I've got a couple of slides on the transition process that I might just share in a minute once Katja's asked her question.
And last thing is compliance, right? So if I'm a strategic partner and Pepsi is a strategic partner, well, how long are the arms, right? What kind of service do I get for less money? I think this is also quite crucial to know. And also when we have, let's say, different opinions on the direction where things should be going, how do you intend to be as fair as possible? And those kind of statements would really help. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Understood.
Thank you, Lucas, and thank you, Richard. So I think that is very important, the question that you have made. One of the most exciting things that we have with the new partnership model is that organizations of all sizes can be part of the board. So that's, I mean, all voices can be heard if you are part of that strategic level. So I have talked with some previous rising food starts and that now are associate partners with, in the previous model, and they are so excited to have the opportunity of becoming a strategic partner. And as we are assessing now the organizations, taking in consideration the size of the number of employees, the turnover, etc. This gives the possibility to some startups to become strategic partners and to have their voice heard not only at EIT Food but also at the European level, and that's very exciting and it's something brilliant. And I think that that's the way that we can promote innovation, just let's say taking care of diversity in our community. So Katarina, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm thinking about the technical part of the being strategic partner, and actually about the administration fee. Like, from my point of view, it would be nice to have that kind of service already in your partnership fee. But I understand you would like to spread it which is from my point of view only much more work, because I understand it right. Now we have two invoices, one for partnership fees, which be non-taxable, and the second one from administration fee, which actually is a service and would be obligated for us to pay the tax.
So yes, we split the fee into two. One is the partnership fee, which is a straightforward partnership fee, and you're right, we're being very careful there in how we position that. Kind of to your question, and actually to Lucas's question on precisely what we will do. We've got a partner engagement outline, which will tell you this is what we will do for you, without it being a service definition, so that we're not slipping the partnership into a service approach. The fee for the platform is effectively a platform access fee. From a VAT point of view, I think we will need to charge VAT on that, but it's a fee for access to the platform. So that is the tools and processes for submitting your proposals.
Which platform, like Plaza or FoodHive or?
Plaza today, and we're transitioning that to Salesforce through next year, because Plaza isn't suitable for the ongoing EIT environment. So all of the kits are migrating away from Plaza.
Yeah, but it just, for me, it doesn't make sense, because if we are a partner and we try to involve like really actively, we're gonna use that platform anywhere. So that would be easier to have it in our partnership fee already.
Understood. We're trying to navigate around the requirements of EIT to separate out the partnership from access to grant, in effect. And we also will have partners who are not consuming any EIT activity. They're not using the platform at all. So we are trying to differentiate between organizations who are in our partnership and active on our programs, and organizations that are in our partnership and are not necessarily active on the program.
But it's like a European Commission platform, and it's like e-tendering and everything. And isn't it free?
We can't just use e-grants. So we're getting into quite a lot of detail here. So e-grants is just a very high level submission platform. We still have to have all of the ultra granular detail and have a process for quarterly monitoring and evaluation, some level of twice a year cost reporting, audit, etc., deliverables, KPIs, all of that. We still have to deliver that, even though e-grants doesn't take that information. So the platform is how we manage all of that process, which is only a requirement of EIT. For other Horizon Europe grants, we might not have to do that, and there wouldn't be a platform fee if we get that. Or for something like the regenerative agriculture impact portfolio, the administration is a lot less. So
okay, so how would like the invoice look like? Like it will be what will be written in the invoice? Like the service with the VAT?
Let me get back to you on that. I don't know in terms of how we're applying VAT, because it depends on where we're invoicing that from, but I can ask the finance team to keep you a view on that.
It would be nice, then we will pass that information to our financial officer.
So the platform fee it's €3,000 per year for up to 5 projects, or €5,000 per year for more than 5 projects.
Thank you, Richard.
There's just another question on up from Filippo. Does EIT Food have internal in-house experts in collection of external 1, private diligent investments, 2, non-profit donations, 3, EU bids writing, or will these services or partners be mostly delivered via external contractors, or a combination thereof based on a case by case?
Filippo, we have some of that expertise in-house at the moment, but we've just agreed an investment with our supervisory board to build a team to do that. So they've approved the additional headcount so that we can recruit people, in particular for EU bid writing and for commercial bid writing. And we're also investing in more of a commercial sales team for the private funding work that we're looking for. So yes, we have some of that today, but not enough. Certainly not enough for the bid writing. But we've had approval for that headcount from our supervisory board.
Thank you. Clear.
So, yeah, question from Anita on, will there be any budget limitation on EIT funding regarding partner status? No. So the budget limit for EIT now comes down to the process. So the process of receiving money has changed as a partner. So previously you received a grant from EIT, which is why you acceded to the EIT MGA as a partner. And we were effectively a pass-through agent for that grant. From 2023 onwards, you're receiving a sub-grant from the KIC. So the KIC receives the grant from EIT and we sub-grant to partners. And that's for all KICs. And that's a change in the way EIT has chosen to operate. The limit on sub-granting for the period of the grant agreement is 6 million euros. So over the 3-year grant agreement, one entity can receive a maximum of 6 million euros, which for nearly all of our partners is fine. We're just doing the evaluation on some of our education partners for delivering those long-term programs, but we broadly think there's going to be no problem with that 6 million euro limit over 3 years. There is no budget limitation on partner status, so we've completely broken that link between what category of partner you are and the amount of budget you can receive. So previously, if you, as you know, if you received more than 50,000, you then became a core partner. If you received up to 250,000, you could be an SME core. 250 to 500, you could be silver. More than 500,000 in a year, you had to be a gold partner. That is completely gone. You no longer have to be a partner to receive an innovation grant. We are going to request that organizations delivering our infrastructure programs, so education programs and accelerators, business creation programs, will be partners because of that kind of very close tie-in with those programs. So we feel that it's important to have that close relationship with partners who are delivering those infrastructure programs, given the dependency, the mutual dependency between the KIC and those partners. But for innovation projects, you don't need to be a partner. And if you are a partner, you can have multiple millions on an innovation project if you're a medium or mid-cap partner or an SME. The only limit we're placing, and you may have seen this in the recent call, is a maximum ratio of grant to your turnover as an SME. So if you're a very small company and your annual turnover is, let's say, 300,000 euros, we're just balancing the risk of then providing you with multiples of your turnover as grant, because we saw in the initial phases, as we started to get more SMEs coming into our innovation programs, that when an SME was trying to channel a vast amount of money, when it was typically more than 60 or 70% of its previous annual turnover, that tended to cause problems with growing that quickly, recruitment, the administration, etc. But that is managed through our call guidelines, and we'll be working again more closely with consortia to balance the weight of the load across SMEs and larger partners in the consortia.
Richard, I have a question going back to you're going to advertise out for project writers, etc. If you don't get the staff and it goes to external contractors, will the partners have input into who these are? Because in the past, that's something that it wasn't very clear from the partners of where some of our external contractors came from or how they were recruited. And also, I think you've got a huge range of universities that have some of the best grant writers and have been doing grant writing and managing projects for a lot longer than EIT has existed in the nature of what they do. And is it not more value to make use of the partners as opposed to just spend money that then the partners are going to have to pay on their fee to support staff? You know, is there not a better way to use this?
There's absolutely there's a balance, Julianne, and I think if we can build consortium of partners who are prepared to mutually commit the teams to write those bids, fantastic. What we've seen, and our board, just this is the value of the supervisory board. They have challenged us very hard on in exactly this question. You know, why are you investing in these resources when partners have similar resources? And the answer is because sometimes we need to bring together a consortium where that balance isn't necessarily where it needs to be, and we need to provide that resource to bring balance to that consortium. I.e., if you've got one university partner in a consortium that's trying to write a bid, but the other consortium members don't have that experience, you get that imbalance, and the university partner's not necessarily.
That happens for European grants all the time.
Yeah,
it's not. I think it's something that there's people there that can be utilized if we're a network. That's what the part of a network is about, is everybody bringing different skills to the table.
Absolutely.
And as opposed to just going out and outsourcing all the time.
We're not outsourcing this at all. Again, when we work on those strategic account plans with our strategic partners and the delivery partner account plans, we will be identifying who's interested in committing that resources and what should we be working for. The bid team's not enormous on our side. It's going to be 2 or 3 people to really work on that coordination activity. We want people who understand what it takes to write Horizon Europe bids, etc., because it is a particular skill set. But it's very much going to be in a coordination role rather than a holding the pen role. But we have to identify which partners are prepared to put that resource on the table to start with. And again, you may be very, very happy to do that, but not all organizations are necessarily going to do that at the point we have a bid on the table that we want to respond to. We also need to write quite specific proposals for the KICS value proposition, in particular to philanthropic organizations, to then win pots of grant that we can distribute to our partners. So there is that exercise where we're writing as the KIC, but the money then effectively becomes an equivalent to the EIT grant money that is distributed out through calls, etc.
I think the reason that there's such heavy questioning is that things haven't always been transparent, and people are trying to get their head around exactly how the fee's going to be used and how it's going to benefit them. And I think if you put a call out, there's quite a number of universities that would help out with that, even doing training for some of the other partners.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'd be delighted to test the water with that, and hopefully we will be doing that through the strategic planning process individually with partners, but very happy to see if we can pull together smaller groups of organizations that are willing to look at that resource. We've been doing some profiling work of where we should be looking to apply for funding in for EU funds, structural funds, etc. And we're also building that pipeline of philanthropic organizations, plus our own proactive activity like this Regen Ag portfolio. But all in all, over the next 7 years maximum, we've got to transition away from the dependency on EIT's 50 million and replace that. So it's no small task to effectively build that portfolio of 50 million per year of alternative funding activity. Thanks, Julianne.
Thank you, Richard. I think that we have some minutes, so if you would like to share your slides.
Sure, just 1 second. Let me know when you can see that.
Yes, perfect.
Great. So this is just a very simple overview of the transition process, so how we move with you from the current structure of the partnership, so network core partners, through into the new partnership. So very shortly, we'll be sending out a mail to partners opening the new partnership onboarding, and there will be a number of documents attached to that. There will be a partner contract, and I'll come to that in a second. There'll be a partner engagement outline, which is the document I mentioned earlier in the conversation with Lucas, which it explains what we will do for you as a partner, and it's broken down by strategic, delivery, and community, and it provides an annual overview of the activity that we will work through. We will include the 2023 fee memo. We're just waiting for that to be approved by the supervisory board per our new statutes. So our statutes were approved by vote. You should have just received a communication on that we got the approval. With those statutes approved, our supervisory board can now approve the fee memo for 2023, which will be exactly as you just saw from the presentation that Paula gave. And then the statutes, you've all got access to download the statutes, but we will just make sure you have got those attached. And a declaration of size. So you saw that size affects fees. It's very much down to you to self-declare on size. We're not going to ask for evidence of that. We may need to do some checks for audit purposes at some point, but it's going to be down to you to declare what size of organization you are based on your turnover or employee base. Once you've received that email, it's then over to you to decide what category of partner you would like to be. And if you'd like to be a strategic or delivery partner, you'll have a contract that you can sign in Adobe Sign. You can sign that. That comes back to us, and as soon as we've got that, we'll set up the account planning workshops. Strategic partner account planning workshops should take place in the first quarter of next year, so between January and March, depending on availability. Delivery partner workshops should take place in the first half of the year, and we'll try and do them as quickly as we can, but it's obviously just a volume thing. If you decide to be a community partner, we just need you to let us know, drop us an email. This will all be in the instructions, by the way, you don't have to remember this. But instead of having that Adobe Sign straight away, we need to send you a slightly different version. It's a slightly lighter contract. So you drop us an email, we'll send you that community contract. You send that back in Adobe Sign, and then that's the job done. So in summary, whether you're strategic or delivery, you follow a slightly different, strategic or delivery, or community, you follow slightly different tracks, but it'll all be started by this email, which we're trying very hard to get this out this week. It just depends on getting all of the approvals in from the supervisory board. And we've got all of the documentation ready, so it's good to go. We would like to complete the transition process and contracting by the end of January for all of our partners. There's no particular hard deadline. It's just we don't want this to drag on all year, because the longer it takes, the less time we have to complete that workshop and really understand what you are going to want from us through the year and how we can work with you. So we're trying to get this done, certainly for our strategic and delivery partners, by the end of January, and then get moving with those. If you've got any questions, you can always email partnership@eitfood.eu through the process.
Thank you, Richard. I think we have a couple of questions here. What actions are needed from organizations who seek to become network member? We don't have that category anymore, Filippo. So there is something similar in, I mean, if you would like to become a community member, but yeah, it's not yet, I mean, it's not the same. Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I meant community. It's a typo. It's okay. Yeah, the community one.
Yeah, the letter of intent, Filippo, was really to try and get an early start on organizations who wanted to become strategic partners, so that we could start that engagement planning process with them. For community partners, you'll get this general email from us. It will invite you to sign a contract if you want to become a delivery or strategic partner. If you don't and you want to become a community partner, you just email us back and we'll send you a slightly different contract. That's all you have to do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for attending to this webinar. We are going to upload this recording later today, and we will send the slides to all of the attendees and also the other registered participants. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Everyone, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.